100,000 donations from normal, average people. So we don't need the special interest groups. And the only special interest group that I'm ever going to be involved with is the people of the United States.
Amen.
When you become president, will you appoint Trey Gowdy as Attorney General?
I got to tell you, I know Trey. He's a great guy. And I would love to have him as Attorney General.
What is your position and view on sanctuary cities?
Sanctuary cities should be gotten rid of. And we need to do everything we can to punish people who would try to establish them to make sure that it doesn't happen. You know, I believe in a sanctuary nation, and it should be a sanctuary for all Americans. Amen. Who believe in our Constitution and want to do what God has given us to do.
The IRS tax code created in 1913 consisted of approximately 400 pages created by Congress. Decades later, here we are. Now we have 70,000 pages created by Congress only. Mm-hmm. And it's the biggest mess anybody's ever seen. And nobody is in favor of keeping the current tax code, but nothing ever seems to change. What is your opinion of the fair tax?
Well, I think we definitely need a different taxation system. I want something that limits the ability of people to manipulate your life, which is what our tax code does now. That's why it's so big and bulky. And when I look at the Bible, I see the fairest person in the universe as God. And what was his method of collecting money? Tithing. Very, very fair system. It's proportional. He didn't say, if your crops fail, don't give me any tithe. He didn't say, if you have a bumper crop, give me triple tithe. So there must be something inherently fair about proportionality. You make $10 billion a year, you pay $1 billion. You make $10 a year, you pay $1. You get the same rights and privileges. You have to get rid of all the deductions and loopholes. Every single one of them. And you know, some people say, but that's not fair. Because the guy who put in $1 billion, he's still got $9 billion left. That's not fair. He can't have $9 billion. We need to take more of his money. You know what that's called? Socialism. And that's not how we got to be a great nation. We got to be a great nation because we said, that guy had just put $1 billion in the pot. That's great. Let's make the environment even better so that next year he makes $20 billion and he can put $2 billion in the pot. Amen. That's how we grew. That's how we reached the pinnacle so quickly. You will never grow by taking and dividing and redistributing. It just doesn't work. It has never worked for anybody, and it won't work for us. And then there are those who say, yeah, but the guy who made $10, he can't afford to pay $1. Of course he can. Can he afford to drive on the public roads? Yes. Can his children go to public schools? Yes. Then he can afford to put $1 in. And I'll tell you something, having grown up in the lower rungs of society and knowing a lot of those people in the lower rungs of society, I can tell you that they too have pride. They don't want you to pat them on the head and say, there, you poor little thing, I'm going to take care of all your needs, you can't do anything. What they would much prefer is for us to fix the economy so that they can climb out of that hole and become part of the fabric of America. Now, just to clarify, I actually think it probably will be a bit more than 10%. it's probably going to be about 11.5%. And it's probably going to require a 4%, what would you call it, a value-added tax on non-essentials. That will keep us revenue neutral. We only need to be revenue neutral in the beginning because there's a lot of waste that can be cut out of our system. You know, for instance, the United States owns 900,000 buildings, 77,000 of which we're not utilizing or underutilizing. And at the same time, we're leasing over 500 million square feet of office space. That's craziness. And that kind of thing exists throughout our government. In the business world, we apply systems, things like something called the Lean Six Sigma program. 3M used that, and you know, a lot of Toyota used it. It's a turnaround system for inefficiency. For the most part, it'll save you at least 25% and make you much more efficient. I would be looking to apply those kind of programs across our government. I think you'll see a dramatic decrease. I would also be looking to institute different ways of administering our government programs. I would change the personnel office. I would make it possible to fire people who are not doing their jobs. And because the American people deserve something that works.